The story of Dock Ellis is insane. Imagine this. You're on the pitcher's mound, the crowd is roaring, and you're about to make baseball history. But there's a twist. You're tripping on LSD. The story of Dock Ellis is so insane that the LSD no-hitter is just the beginning. You think you know wild? You ain't heard nothing yet. Get ready to laugh, gasp, and shake your head in disbelief, because this tale is a roller coaster of epic proportions.
Well, here we are, Dock Ellis working on a no-hitter.
It was easier to pitch with the LSD. That's the way I was dealing with the fear of failure.
Dock Ellis was a character, to say the least. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 1970s, an era when bell-bottoms and psychedelic rock were all the rage. Ellis fit right in. He had a knack for pitching and a taste for the unconventional. But nothing he did was more unconventional than pitching a no-hitter while under the influence of LSD.
Because we had an off day. So he said, yeah. So I took some LSD at the airport because I knew where it would hit me.
So how did this happen? Let's rewind to June 11th, 1970. Ellis, thinking he wasn't scheduled to pitch, decided to enjoy a day off in a way only he could. No big deal, right? Except he was wrong about his schedule. The next day, he was up to pitch against the San Diego Padres. Realizing his mistake too late, Ellis didn't back down. He marched to the mound, eyes probably wider than a baseball, and got ready to pitch. Imagine trying to pitch a baseball while everything around you is surreal and shifting. That was Dock Ellis's reality. He later described seeing the ball as if it were tiny one moment and gigantic the next. The catcher's mitt? It was constantly changing sizes. The batters? They looked like they were moving in fast forward. Yet, somehow, Ellis managed to get through the game without giving up a single hit. Every pitch was a mystery. Ellis relied on his catcher Jerry May more than ever. May had to give exaggerated signals to guide Ellis, who was essentially throwing blind. At one point, Ellis said he couldn't even feel the ball in his hand. But pitch after pitch, out after out, he kept the Padres from hitting. During the game, Ellis hit a few batters and walked 8. His control was as wobbly as a Jenga tower in an earthquake. But no hits. He was sweating bullets, not sure if he was actually throwing the ball or just imagining it. His teammates must have thought he was focused, but in reality, Ellis was just trying to survive. When the final out was made, Ellis had done it. He pitched a no-hitter. The crowd went wild, but Ellis? He was seeing something else. You won't believe who he saw during the game. It wasn't until years later that Ellis admitted to pitching that game on LSD, turning the no-hitter into a legendary tale of chaos and talent.
I'm putting on my ball. I pitched the no-hitter on LSD.
But hold on, the LSD no-hitter is just the beginning of Dock Ellis's wild story. This guy's life was a series of insane, batshit crazy moments that prove he was one of the most unpredictable players in baseball history. Ellis's commitment to standing up for himself and his teammates sometimes took a more physical turn. During his minor league days, he was once so fed up with a heckler that he grabbed a baseball bat and stormed into the stands to confront the guy. Imagine the scene. A furious pitcher chasing a loudmouth fan through the bleachers, bat in hand, ready to serve up a knuckle sandwich instead of a fastball. It's the kind of story that could only come from the wild world of Dock Ellis. In 1975, Ellis found himself at odds with his manager, Danny Murtaugh, after being moved to the bullpen. Called upon to pitch in relief 3 times, Ellis flat out refused each time. When Murtaugh finally suspended him for a game, Ellis called a team meeting, supposedly to apologize. Instead, he launched into a tirade against Murtaugh, nearly starting a fistfight with his own manager. Teammates had to step in to prevent the situation from getting completely out of hand. This incident led to a 30-day suspension for Ellis, who eventually apologized, but not before making his point loud and clear. The LSD no-hitter is full of bizarre moments, but one of the funniest has to be Ellis's hallucinations during the game. At one point, he genuinely believed that Jimi Hendrix, complete with guitar, was stepping up to the plate. Ellis also thought that Richard Nixon was the home plate umpire. Just picture it. Ellis staring down a hitter who he thinks is Hendrix and then glancing back to see Nixon calling balls and strikes. It's a scene straight out of a surrealist comedy, but for Ellis, it was just another day on the mound. He had a fiery temper and he wasn't afraid to show it. In 1974, Ellis decided to hit every single batter in the Cincinnati Reds lineup to send a message. He hit Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Dan Dreesen before he was pulled from the game.
What's going to happen when you have drugs on the field? I threw to hit him. I threw to hurt him bad.
Ellis was making a point about intimidation and dominance, and he didn't care what anyone thought. Imagine being Pete Rose, stepping up to the plate, only to get smacked in the ribs by a fastball. Then Joe Morgan steps up, boom, same spot. By the time Dan Dreesen got hit, the Reds must have thought they were in a war zone. Ellis was eventually pulled after trying to hit Tony Perez multiple times and nearly taking Johnny Bench's head off with a wild pitch. It was pure chaos on the field, and Ellis was right in the middle of it, loving every moment. Dock Ellis played 12 seasons in Major League Baseball from 1968 to 1979 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, New York Yankees, Oakland Athletics, Texas Rangers, and New York Mets. Despite his wild antics, Ellis was a talented pitcher, earning an All-Star selection in 1971 and helping the Pirates win the World Series that same year. However, Ellis is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, although his legacy lives on through his unforgettable stories and his contributions to the game both on and off the field. After his baseball career, Ellis didn't slow down. He became a drug counselor, helping others fight their own battles with addiction. But even in his new role, he remained as outspoken and bold as ever, using his wild past to inspire those around him. So what can we learn from Dock Ellis's story? Maybe it's that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Or maybe it's that baseball, like life, is full of surprises. Either way, Dock Ellis's LSD no-hitter is a reminder that sometimes the best stories are the ones that seem too crazy to be true. So next time you're at a game and someone mentions the craziest thing they've ever seen in sports, tell them about Dock Ellis. Tell them about the man who pitched a no-hitter while high as a kite, chased a heckler with a bat, refused to pitch in relief, and hallucinated Jimi Hendrix at the plate. It's a story that breaks all the rules and keeps us all coming back for more. Here's to Dock Ellis, the pitcher who showed us that sometimes the wildest rides make for the best stories. And remember, Dock Ellis's legacy is one of defying expectations and showing that even in chaos, there's room for greatness.